Okay, so we're going to try something a little bit new on today's program. And those of you that have been watching this show throughout the season, I figure that's most of you at this point. I highly doubt there's anybody looking for new fantasy basketball content on April 7th, but hey, maybe there is. You guys have seen us go through a number of iterations of how to do these, what are effectively recap style shows. We've done the ones where we go through the entire list of box scores, review every single damn player in the NBA, basically, and get us kind of reset on a Monday for the week ahead. Last couple of weeks, we've been focusing more on kind of key names from the different teams, the ones that I think have a really good shot to be rest of season rosterable, guys that I think are very close, guys that I had on the watch list. For this final week, and I'm not even really sure what we're going to do tomorrow through Friday. I think we'll maybe go back to that format where we're like looking at the key names. Today, at the very least, I have a brand new format to introduce. This might be a one-time only sort of format, but it's going to be specialists. We're looking at a laundry list at this point. It's a lot of them. I didn't bother to count it up, but it's probably about 30 to 40 names from the weekend that performed in such a way that I thought, all right, this is a specialist level guy. Because at this time of year, and I know I'm starting the show with a rant about fantasy basketball, but you guys like that more than when I actually just do like a welcome to the show anyway. The rant right now is a good rant. It's a strategic rant. At this time of the year, you should be attacking categories only. You should not even care the tiniest bit what a player's rank is, which is notable because I'm actually of the opinion, as a 9-cat roto guy for the most part, that ranks are still valuable when you're attacking all 9 categories. It helps give you an idea of is the good stuff outweighing the bad. If you're in head-to-head, obviously there's a lot more punting. There's some punting in roto as well. Not as much, certainly, but in head-to-head, if you're in any kind of competitive head-to-head league, you're probably punting something. So straight 9 category rankings then don't make sense. Then -1 rankings make more sense because you're eliminating a player's worst category, which hopefully for you is the one you're punting. Or you can use, you've seen me throw it up on the screen, Basketball Monsters player rank page, where you can actually just toggle punting on and off, and it'll move the player values around sort of as a, resultant, the outcome of what that would mean. This time of year, right now, ranks mean 0. Full on 0. We are so close to the end of the regular season that, and I've told this story before, there was a league something like 6, 7, 8 years ago that, and I still remember it because it was such a ridiculous move. I couldn't possibly tell you what year it was exactly. I might be able to figure out if we looked at the game log of Patrick Beverley, which, by the way, not going to do that here on the podcast. I might do it after because I'm a weirdo and I want to see. It was the end of the 2016 or 17 season, I think. And Pat Beverley it wasn't 2017 because apparently he didn't play after November 20th that year. Was it 2018? No. Well, maybe. See, now I want to know. I think it was 2016, which would have been before I even started this podcast. But I remember it like it was yesterday. I don't remember what I ate for breakfast yesterday, but I remember Patrick Beverley. And it wasn't so much that you had to play Patrick Beverley down the stretch. He did have some pretty good numbers that year, but it was who I benched to replace with Pat Beverley. I benched Damian Lillard that year. I think at the end of the 2016 season. I'm pretty sure that was the year after a very quick check. And it wasn't like Dame wasn't having a good end of the year. You can look at his game log if you want to. Damian Lillard game log 2016. Let's look at the very end. He put up 59 points the last day of the regular season. I don't think I had that in my lineup. And he was on an epic scoring run, 31, 31, 25. He was putting up a ton of three-pointers, and his free throw numbers were out of control. Amazing. But I was in a roto league where I had assessed that my only chance, the only category with a week to go that I had a chance to move up or down in was rebounds. And Dame, not a bad rebounder, but he was at 4 something, I think, a game that year. Doesn't matter. And during the stretch run for Dame, And you can, again, I can look at the game log 3, 5, 1, 5, 4, 6, 7, 6, 4, 5, 4, 2. So it averaged out, just a quick glance. You can say that's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 4. Patrick Beverley, during that same exact time span, went 8, 3, 8, 11, 13, 3, 10. I benched Damian Lillard to play Patrick Beverley. Dame was a top 15 player down the stretch that year, and I benched him. I took a first rounder out of my lineup, and I threw Patrick Beverley in there, who was, to his credit, he was a top 100 guy. It wasn't like he was putting up bad numbers, but he wasn't putting up good numbers. But what he was doing was he was a guy who had point guard eligibility that was getting 8 rebounds a game or more down the stretch that year. Somewhere between 6 and 13 most days. There was a 1 and a 2 blended in there, but like those were the odd games out. Did that completely change my fates? I honestly don't know. But I do know that on the very last day of the regular season, I passed 2 teams in rebounds, and it jumped from second place to first place. I won that Roto League. I believe, and there were other things I was doing too. Like I was using exclusively big men in my utility slots. I was using guys that were power forward center eligible at the forward and power forward slots. And like you can do a lot of stuff to squeeze an extra 2 rebounds a game out of each one of those. But I did that for a week. And so, every utility slot was a center. I was getting 7 to 8 rebounds a game out of that utility slot instead of a guard where I was getting 3 or 4. So that's 3 to 4 extra rebounds a game out of each utility game I used. I got an extra 4 out of each point guard slot I dropped in here because I was rolling Patrick Beverley. I didn't play anybody that was averaging under about 5.5 rebounds a game, generally more, that final week. And that's the story, boring though it may be for all of you guys who don't give a crap what my fantasy team is doing. That's the story as to why we're just hunting specialists right now. It doesn't matter what their rank is. All that matters is, do they provide you a category, whether it's head-to-head and you're in one of those lunatic leagues that's still open down the stretch, or Roto, which is most of you now, that are just trying to squeeze out a Roto point the final week. These are the names that I think will get you there. Long intro, I know, but it was basketball related, right? It was on topic. Hey, my bookie, that's our partners here right now. My bookie for the duration of March Madness, which is, by the way, almost at its duration. Have you guys heard about Bet and Get over at MyBookie? So look, March Madness is here, and every game has been a chance to cash in. Every game has had high-stakes matchups, wild finishes, big-time betting opportunities, people screaming about it on social media. Even if I'm not watching the game, I know what's happening because I check my Twitter feed every once in a while to see what's going on with NBA news right now. Hey, so Bet and Get. MyBookie's Bet and Get is a sweet reward that they've got running through the duration here of March Madness. So you're running out of time on that, where any cash bet you place on a March Madness game earns you a surprise reward. You bet and you get. Bet and Get. The reward could be a free bet, could be cash back, could be bonus chips for the casino. You never know. It's going to be something cool, though. So whether it's that number 1 seed rolling to the finish line or a Cinderella story, it doesn't matter. Smart money is made one game at a time. Sign up now at MyBookie using promo code MM50, MM50, and boost your bankroll with a deposit bonus designed to help you make the most of your money. Or if you don't want to use that bonus, that's fine. You can decline it. Just use that code MM50 to let them know that we sent you. Bet on every game, anytime, from anywhere, only with our pals at MyBookie. Let's do a bunch of names. We're going to rapid fire these names because I don't think most of these guys need a ton of explanation. Oh, I'm Dan Vespers. Please subscribe to the show. Not that any of you guys are new. Who's new to the proceedings at this point? I have an announcement I'm going to drop tomorrow. That doesn't matter to you guys, though. It's a time of year where we're just trying not to bleed subscribers. All right. I had to break this into like 5 different tweets, so you'll just see me scroll through them as we go here on YouTube. Everybody else, you can just listen in. Kevin Huerter. Again, this is going to be pretty much a lightning round of 35 to 40 names. We'll spend maybe 15 seconds per name. But I wanted to get this show out there because I think this is actually, even if it's not like the longest or the best content for chewing up content, I think this is what you guys actually need for your fantasy leagues right now. Kevin Huerter. I just realized I found a ball of challah on my stomach. Off to a great start today. Kevin Huerter for threes and steals, and his teammate Matisse Buzelis for threes and blocks. You might also be able to squeeze some points out of each of those two guys. I wouldn't count on either of them for much more than that. KJ Simpson in Charlotte is an assists and steals stream. I don't have any idea how everything else is going to go for him, but he's the LaMelo Ball fill-in from now through the end of the year, and he's shown a ability to get about 5 assists per ball game and a little over a steal per game as well. Lately, the field goal percent has been pretty good, but I couldn't possibly tell you if that's going to continue. Dorian Finney-Smith and Rui Hachimura. By the way, these names are in reverse chronological order from how these teams played over the weekend. If you're wondering, like, how did I come up with it? It's going to be Sunday from start to finish, and then Saturday from start to finish, and then whoever didn't on Friday. So we're still using that same tempo. Dorian Finney-Smith and Rui Hachimura are the two Lakers on the, I guess we could call it the possible waiver wire specialist board. Some of these guys are probably on your wire. Maybe not all of them, but a lot of them are. Dorian Finney-Smith for threes. I wouldn't trust on him for much more than that. You might get some steals and blocks, but it's not an everyday thing. Rui Hachimura, scoring efficiently. That's the stream you're looking for there. You'll probably get 4 or 5 rebounds out of Rui as well. And if he plays enough minutes, he'll sort of bumble his way into a 1 defensive stat. But again, that's not what you're hunting with him. You're looking for scoring, efficient scoring. He'll usually get you 1 to 2 3-pointers as well. And if you can get that on pretty good efficiency numbers, that's good. Actually, we can even zoom in a little bit more for you YouTubers. Second page of names. I only fit like 6 or 7 names per page here because of the tweet that went out. I listed the categories that these guys are specialists in. Cason Wallace is a steals specialist as we make a brief stopover on OKC. Then up to Toronto, to the Great White North. Jonathan Mogbo, who might be, and again, this is going to come down to what games his teammates are playing in. And so the minutes are bouncing around a little right now for Mogbo. But he's played around 30 for 4 straight games. And in those, he's had 6, 6, and 3 with a block, 10, 3, and 5 with a steal, 6 and 8 with a block, 17, 11, and 7 with 2 steals and 2 blocks. Obviously, this most recent game being kind of the biggest among them. But if you look at like basically the last 2 weeks, he's top 100 on averages of 10, 7, and 3.5 with a steal, 0.8 blocks, and good percentages. He is the anti-specialist in that he's been solid in like 7 categories lately. Not great in any of them, and frankly, barely good in some. But he's power forward center eligible, averaging over 3 assists a game. That's a solid assist number for a center. The steals and blocks are pretty decent for a power forward center. The free throw percent is excellent lately for a power forward center guy. He doesn't really shoot the 3 ball, and he's not going to score that much because there's like always some usage guy in for Toronto, even if it's not one of the main guys. But he just does a little bit of everything. So the anti-specialist, Jonathan Mogbo. Jacoby Walter, his teammate, had a down game, but he's starting right now for Toronto, and it seems like he might just start the rest of the way. He's hitting his free throws, literally all of them. Pretty good source of points and threes as well, because he's out there. It kind of like I'm not going to earn my playing time unless I score a whole bunch. Sort of feels like what's going on with Walter right now. But he only took 6 shots in 18 minutes in the last ball game. Still, he's had a lot of steals lately, 2, 3, 1, 1, 3, and 2 in his last 6 ball games. That averages out to exactly 2 steals per game. He's around 3 assists over that stretch. He's around 5 to 6 rebounds. He's scoring in the teens. He's at 2 3-pointers. And he's, I think he's made his last 1, 2, I can try to count this up, 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 18 consecutive free throws. Did I jinx him? Doesn't matter. On the season, is at 80% at the foul line. Last 2 weeks, he's at 100. So, yeah, you know, the unsustainable small sample size theater stuff, but great free throw numbers lately. Good threes, good scoring, good steals. That's kind of been the thing for Jacoby Walter. Let's go to Portland, to Banton. We talked about him on our show on Friday. Yeah, that's right. I called it Friday. It requires, on Banton, it requires that Scoot Henderson and Anthony Simons continue to miss time. But they might just be done. Who knows? Last 4 games, Banton scored 11 points, then 23, 21, and 20. 3 games in a row where he's been 20 or higher. He has 8 3-pointers over those games. His efficiency is rock bottom. He did have a 4-block game mixed in there. That's super weird for him. So defensive stats usually bad. Assists are not great. He's mostly out there to fire. So you're really looking at points. It's not clear that you can even count on the threes all that much. You're looking for points. Threes is probably like the secondary one. His teammate, Matisse Thybulle, is on the board here as a steals play. Kyle Filipowski is kind of the only Jazz player that I would call like he's added on a lot of teams, but way too early on him. Boards, kind of efficiency and some rebounds has been the calling card for Filipowski here lately. I think Kessler's probably done for the year, so that would be a helpful one as well. Keon Ellis, 3s, steals, and out-of-position blocks. He's a pretty good one because he's still starting for the Kings, even if Sacramento is all over the map. I don't know what the hell to make of that team on a night-to-night basis. They lose to the worst. They beat the best. That's literally what they've done. Okay, they didn't beat the Thunder, but whatever. Like, lose to the worst, beat the almost best. The hell, Kings. We'll go to Wizards. We'll go to Washington after that. Justin Champagnie, who I keep bouncing between when I was doing the shows where it was like, who's the ad, who's the watch list, who's the super duper ultra close guy. Champagnie was in a different column every single game. The easier choice on Justin is just to call him a boards and steals specialist, and then you're not worried about, oh, did he get 35 minutes? Oh, no. Like, did he play 25 instead? He probably still got you 6 rebounds and a steal. If he plays more, he's going to get you more. If he plays less, he's going to get you less. But at least you know those are 2 categories that he can rack up pretty quick. Bub Carrington's minutes are going to be very high the rest of the way. He's a pretty good source of points, boards, and assists. In Boston, Sam Hauser is going to play a bunch down the stretch because there's no reason the Celtics need to play their starters normal minutes. So Sam's going to get in there and jack up a bunch of 3-pointers. Luke Kornet, kind of a similar story. There's just no reason for Porzingis and Horford to need to play all that much down the stretch here. Boston is locked into the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. Kornet, a pretty good source of field goal percent, rebounds, and blocks. Obi Toppin got a start with Pascal Siakam out. I don't know that that's necessarily going to continue. He's a nice source of threes and efficiency, even in limited minutes, but obviously if the minutes bump up, he becomes better than a specialist play. So that's one just to keep on kind of the news, because if you can squeeze out a Toppin game, if he starts again, that would be a really productive way to go. Ryan Rollins in Milwaukee. Everybody on the Bucks had big games in their last one because Giannis sat that one out. I'm assuming Giannis will be back for the next one, but I guess I don't know for sure. If Giannis is in, you can probably count on about 4 assists, 1 to 2 3-pointers, and a steal out of Rollins. If Giannis is out, you can look at 2 threes, probably more like 6 assists for Rollins, and so you do get that little bit of a bounce. The bigger bounce comes for Kevin Porter Jr. because he slides from the bench into the starting lineup with the Bucks. Doc Rivers deciding, look, we got to get somebody in this starting unit that can score a little bit. And KPJ, for all of his warts, fantasy-wise or otherwise, he can score a little. So points, boards, assists for Kevin Porter Jr., that's like, oh, you couldn't get Bub Carrington. KPJ would be the secondary option there. Let's keep going to the next page of names. I think we're getting close to the end here. Gary Trent Jr. is the last name in Milwaukee. It's another one where like you really want Giannis to be out if you want Trent to put up big numbers. If Giannis is in, you're going to get some threes and some steals. If Giannis is out, you're going to get threes, points, steals, probably some assists. There's a really big bounce there for him as well. New Orleans has a lot going on, a lot of moving pieces. They rested the semi-veterans. Like the veterans are done. They're shut down. The semi-veterans, which would be like a Jose Alvarado or a Kelly Olynyk, those guys get to play every other day or, non-back-to-backs. The one guy who's playing every game and putting up numbers is Yves Missi. Solid source of field goal percent, solid source of boards. He'll usually get you some defensive stats, even if I didn't write that on the screen here. That'll also be in the mix. Like Antonio Reeves is a play when everybody sits, but when guys are back in, I think I'd rather go with someone like a Jose Alvarado. He could make this list. Bruce Brown played. He's playing in every game, but super untrustworthy. So I lean towards Missy right now. And then if Alvarado's back in there, he would be the other guy that I'd probably pluck out of the clouds, drop into a lineup. Scottie Pippen Jr. got a spot start in Memphis. Obviously, he's a great choice for assists and defensive stats when he starts. He'll get you some of those off the bench, but you got better choices out there. Couple of names in Detroit. Dennis Schroeder obviously was putting up pretty good-sized numbers with Cade Cunningham out. Not efficiently, mind you, but there were some numbers. Continued to start with Cade back, which was intriguing because it was for technically Tobias Harris? Question mark? That's the guy that's been out for Detroit. And if Schroeder continues to start and the Pistons just decide to go small, then Schroeder should continue to be a pretty good source of assists and free throw percent. We'll see if they mix and match a little bit based on opponent, though. I don't know that Schroeder's necessarily going to start every game. So be a little bit careful, I think, with Dennis. And then his teammate Isaiah Stewart got the spot start with Jalen Duren on the shelf. And Beef Stew had 16 and 8 with 4 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks, and 2 3-pointers. He's kind of evolved into a pretty good fantasy player, but rarely gets the playing time to actually show it off. Stewart would be only a plug-and-play guy if Duren has to miss another ball game. Couple of names out of Philadelphia. Adem Bona, who should be rostered at this point because he's playing, I don't want to say full starters minutes every day, but like semi-close to it. He was in foul trouble in Philly's last game, but the last 2 weeks, he's basically a second, third rounder. So Bona's got to be on your roster. He's better than a specialist, but obviously better for you if you're hunting big field goal percent, rebounds, steals, blocks. Not terrible free throw shooting. Not great, but not terrible. Throw Lonnie Walker in the mix again if you want points and threes. I wouldn't trust him much beyond that. You could also probably, and did I write this name down? I did. Jared Butler was going to be the other name that I'd bring up. I couldn't remember if I actually put him on the list. Justin Edwards would have been on there, but he left early with a rib situation. Gershon Yabusele would have been on there as well, but he's already been ruled out, I believe, due to some sort of personal reasons for the next one. So those guys might get back on the list later in the week. For now, it's Jared Butler. Points, assists, not terrible out of Butler. You probably can get like 1.5 threes per game as well, which I don't think I would call full specialist level, but, not bad. Davion Mitchell, I actually think he should just be started outright. He played 39 bench minutes in the Heat overtime loss to the Bucks on Saturday, and he's just been putting up points, threes, assists, steals on good field goal percent for like 2 weeks, running very hot, mind you. They're not going to shoot 50 to 55% long term, but as I've said before, who cares about long term? We got 1 week left. Davion Mitchell is a start everywhere, so he's better than a specialist, but I needed to get him on this board so that I could bring him up. Duncan Robinson got the fill-in start for Tyler Hero. He's a three-pointers specialist, as is Klay Thompson. If we're going to go to Dallas next, just threes is what I trust him for. And Spencer Dinwiddie continues to be streamable in Dallas as well as they kind of mix and match their big men. I couldn't decide if I wanted to put Daniel Gafford on the specialist board. Looking back, I probably should have. So go ahead and just mentally write Daniel Gafford on the sheet in front of you in addition to what I already typed up. Because we know he can put up field goal percent, rebounds, defensive stats in pretty limited minutes. And for Dallas, he's a guy that's going to kind of trade off basically which games that he's playing and which games that he's not. And Derek Lively, not on the list because I don't think he's going to get enough playing time to do stuff. Gafford can do stuff faster than Lively can in that, like, if you give each of them 20 minutes, the guy that's around the top 100 is Gafford. The guy that's around top 140 150 range is Derek Lively, and so that's why we would lean towards Daniel Gafford. And that is the Ultra Lightning round. We did it. We did all the names in like 15 minutes. So I guess it was more like 30 seconds per player, but whatever. We got through it. That's the important part here. Please remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen to tumble onto us here at the very end where you're looking for somebody to give you, maybe you Google searched or you YouTube searched fantasy basketball specialists, fantasy basketball last week. Happy to have you. Everybody else, please do drop those reviews. This is sort of like your last call on that. We do have shows all off season long. As I told you last week, Adam King is bringing his shows here to the Old Man Squad Network, so you guys can catch the video versions of those on YouTube if you subscribe there. You can also subscribe to his show on the traditional pod feeds at the Balls Deep Fantasy Podcast, Fantasy Basketball Podcast. We'll tell you more about that. Adam and I do some shows together throughout the offseason. And coming up tomorrow, we have another announcement here about something cool happening at Old Man Squad. Make sure to stay tuned for that. I will also drop it over on Twitter at Dan Bespris. I'm Old Man Squad at Blue Sky Network. Old Man Squad is also a Twitter handle. That's the network feed. So those are different ways. Okay, that's that. We did it. 26 minutes, and we out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate you guys. Go get those specialists. Let's make a run at it. Let's get the 1 or 2 points where we can find them as we hit the final week of the NBA season. It's almost deep breath time. Hang on just a little bit longer. I'm Dan. See you tomorrow.